Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Move podcast, brought to you each and every day this summer by Ketone IQ. We're almost done. Today, stage 20. Alain, what did we do?
Stage 20, Belfort to Le Martin-Fellering. Belfort to Le Martin-Fellering.
And we get comments from French folks that they don't think it's funny, that I think it's funny.
I like how he Frenchified the German name.
I know. Well, this part of France.
Is that a word, Frenchify?
It's an interesting part of France, the Alsace up there. It's very, there's a lot of German influence in the language and some of the words. You saw the last hard climb. I mean, that would look like a German climb to me. But anyways, fantastic stage win from Tadej Pogačar. He called the corner pocket and he hit it in. I mean, that was, in fact, George made money on
made a little paper.
So Mr. Pogačar, thank you. George finally made a little money.
Yep.
Let's get into all the action. But before we do, today's show brought to you by Element. It is time to sweat. It's summertime. I've been sweating a lot. This is my go-to hydration source. You can see it right here in front of JB. That actually is my favorite flavor there, JB, the orange. I jump around, but that orange salt is the move, right? And George he's got a little hack too that he learned from Andrew Huberman, where I guess you're drinking a cup of Element right when you wake up.
Right when I wake up.
Just to accelerate the
hydration of the day.
Yeah. 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium, no sugar, no gluten, no BS in it. And best of all, with this special offer, if you don't like it, you don't need to send it back. Just pass it on to a friend. They don't care. I think it's pretty awesome. Our listeners get a free Element sample pack with any order when you head on over to drinklmnt.com/themove. Again, that's drinklmnt.com/themove. Also today brought to you by Wahoo. I haven't mentioned it this thing, but I'm also been rocking my Wahoo watch, the Rival. This thing's pretty tight, right? On the show, like on the video. Looks good like that. Get a little tan, got a white watch. I'm not the only guy on the show with bling. Wahoo's cycling products are trusted by the pro peloton. We're seeing it every day. We see Wahoo's Element Bolt GPS bike computer on the handlebars of more teams than any other brand. That's pretty cool. And of course the mapping feature. I'm just so into this. I think it's I just think it's a great feature for being able to see the map, especially when you're on these roads. And a lot of the guys in the Tour, they know these climbs, they know the descents. But for you folks at home that are maybe traveling and you're going down a descent, just open up just scroll through to the page that has the map. You'll see when the switchbacks are coming, the dangerous stuff is coming. I don't know. I'm into it. I think.
Or traveling and finding routes. When you don't know
finding
where you're going.
routes. That's right.
Incredible.
Special offer for our listeners. If you head on over to wahoofitness.com/themove and enter the code THEMOVE, you get 20% off all full price products during the tour, which by the way is almost over. wahoofitness.com/themove, enter the code THEMOVE. Gets you 20% off. Well, a lot of action today. Tadej Pogačar comes through. He was very excited.
Yeah.
I mean, he was his win.
Yeah. And
he actually said at the finish line interview that he feels like he can race another week. I think he got over whatever he was battling with, and back to the good form.
As we said, just that one slightly bad day. Not even a horrible day. Just one little bad day.
What about the time trial?
Well, that time trial. Well, I mean, it was 5% off. That's a bad day.
Yeah, that's a bad day.
Although he was that was. I mean, that made or make or break for him. But good for him to come back, stay tough. Made a big attack on that last climb. Of course, Vingegaard could stay with him, and then they did this cat and mouse thing we've been seeing for 3 weeks.
Yeah, which was strange.
Strange.
I mean, he's 7.5 minutes ahead. In fact, we said in the morning, I said, like, what kind of rider would try to go for the win when you're 7.5 minutes ahead in the yellow jersey? And then I realized I was sitting next to Lance, so it wasn't a great question to the team. But
I know. In hindsight, I regret a lot of that. I regret a lot of things. I really do. And those are, but there's no do-overs in life. You fuck up, you got to live with it and pick up the pieces. And voila, here we are. The number one show in cycling, mind you.
And we got a very, very, very special guest coming on later.
That's right.
We're going to say who it is? Or
yeah, let's say we have Mr. Chris Froome.
Chris Froome's coming on.
The 4-time winner of this great race coming on towards the end of the show. So stay tuned for that. Don't go anywhere. George has got his question. You're friends with everybody. You line these things up. Like if I found Chris Froome's phone number and said, "Hey, will you come on our show?" I wouldn't even get a response.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. I think so. Also, action, unfortunately for Sepp Kuss, and we have a photo. He went down incredibly hard. He's rode such a great race. Oh, that just looks. And if you're not watching the show, this is
look who's in the background.
I have no idea. It looks like
Dumoulin, former world champion.
Good eye.
Ex-teammate of his, obviously.
He looks. That was a hard crash. Knocked him out of the top 10. Which it just sucks for him. Also, Carlos Rodríguez went down, although he managed to get back up and get going.
I mean, what a beast. That kid's 20 years old.
Yep. And
fought all the way to the finish line, only finished 40 or 50 seconds behind those guys after dealing with that. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's for a young kid to get back up. And again, unfortunately lost his podium spot, which was taken by Adam Yates. And the Yates brothers, 3rd and 4th. Good for the Yates family.
3rd and 4th at the final in Paris. 1st and 2nd on the first stage. I mean, what an incredible race for that family.
Yeah, I wonder, for UAE, to win a couple stages, get 2nd and 3rd on the podium. It's not what they went to the Tour to do, but I mean, it's a pretty good result.
Yeah, and then you got, like you said, Simon moves up to 4th today, and I think that I'm actually speaking with Matt White right now. The team's fired up. They got the motivation. They got Dylan Groenewegen, who's been riding really well, climbed the mountains super well, and I think he's got to be a real contender for tomorrow. I'm going to try to put money on that. But
you're speaking to Whitey right now in the middle. Okay.
Yeah.
So
always working.
I'll add to that. Like Rodriguez is one of the big stories of the Tour. Like we're going to see a lot from this kid, and also I would throw into that mix Felix Gall.
Yeah, I think he was a real revelation for this Tour. Moves up into 8th overall. Was one of the only guy that could stay with Vingegaard and Pogačar, and he looked great. I mean, he has to be somebody to factor for the future. And by the way, came into the race. I think he did win a stage in Tour of Switzerland, but came in a supporting role for Ben O'Connor and rode a hell of a race. Won a stage, top 10 in the overall.
According to Johan, it came up yesterday, Felix Gall has been a fantastic climber as a junior even. So he was on everyone's radar, but wasn't the all-rounder. Didn't have the bike skills, the time trialing, but he's developing.
Johan didn't have him in his up-and-comers list. We know that.
Well, a lot of these guys, interestingly enough, where they start off as being good climbers and they'll have a hard time on the downhills. And perfect example was Pinot. I mean, he was a horrible descender for a long time and actually got coaching from, I think, a motorcycle racer or an F1 driver. Yeah, they got coaching on how to descend. And look at him today. I feel like he should get the boomstick today. Hometown race. He probably knows those roads like the back of his hand. Away. If you saw the crowds today were unbelievable. I think more than any other stage in the whole race. And we're going to give
Thibaut Pinot.
Amazing career. Congratulations. I know this has got to be super emotional for you. Coming into the Shams, it's going to be a very special feeling. Hopefully you get to ride away. They let you ride in the front because he deserves it. Amazing careers. One stage of the Giro. Lombardia. Incredible rider, and we're going to miss you. Thibaut, boomstick.
And I agree. I think from your final tour, I mean, I don't know if he's racing after the tour, but you've got 2 days. Let's assume you're not. You got 2 days of racing left. It's going through your region. You're alone in the front. You're staring down a stage when you've got all of your fans out there. That would be...
It's like some sort of country memo went out to be there crazy. For this, just for him.
As a fan, I was hoping that UAE would not be going for that stage win because he would have probably won. Actually, he wouldn't have won because he got caught by those 2 guys on that last climb. But incredible ride from him.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what else we have from here today.
We're getting down to the end of the tour. This gets tiring. I will say it's. I don't know. It's just it takes a lot of energy. And after 3 weeks, of course, we're in Aspen. A lot of people here for the summer. George has all kinds of friends. It's a daily. It's like we had to swap out the doors at the house to put one of them revolving doors with all of George's VIP guests coming in. That shit wears me out.
And the bears coming in. You guys are gonna miss me.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Well, if you're going to have to recharge because today we kick off with the women's preview.
Yep. Yeah, that
starts tomorrow.
Yeah, so this afternoon we're going to go ride with the ladies. Of course, Allie and Mari after this, and then we'll record the preview show for the women's tour. So be sure to check that out. And I got to say, I didn't know what to expect last year on the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift, but I thought the racing was excellent and honestly, many days much more exciting than the men's race, and we saw it. We saw how many people were tuning in, and certainly appreciate that. So, yeah, I'll recharge. But I do have a little bit of bad news for actually both of you guys, because George you were over last night too, JB. I don't know if somebody slipped George something. He was tuned up.
Hey, I was excited to actually hang out with you for once.
I've not been hanging. You haven't hung
out this whole Tour de France, so I got to.
I've been living.
Spend some quality time with you.
Living my best life, and I decided. My mom got in yesterday with Papa Ed, and so I decided to have a couple glasses of wine. But I don't know what you had. But I had bad news based on the way I saw you last night. This is an interesting article I see here on Cycling News. Mark Matteo, of course, who complains about everything. Blasts the Jumbo-Visma manager for claims that the French riders drank beer on the Tour de France rest day. That's not the bad news. But Richard Plug was saying that, look at these slackers. Right? They're having, and I think the quote was, "I even saw them drinking big beers. That's the difference between them and us." That's still not the bad news. And I quote, Richard Plug says, "Alcohol is poison. And when you're already tired, it'll even make you more fatigued. But it is poison, just so you all know."
Oof. I mean, would you be surprised at all if the French riders were having a drink on a rest day?
I wouldn't. I mean, we had a glass of wine every night at our table, especially your last couple of years. A nice bottle of French.
I did?
Red wine. Yes, you did.
No, I did not.
It's poison.
Excuse me? Johan, can you back me up on that? 1,000%. You drank wine, I'd say 80%.
I would have won by 20 minutes if I didn't have that one glass of wine. If I wasn't fucking poisoned every night. Duffy, the cook, giving us wine / poison. But anyways, based on how you looked last night, or how tuned up you were, how'd you sleep?
I slept great. I always sleep great.
You do?
Yep.
It's because you just have. Honestly, I've never seen somebody so chill. You have no stress in your life.
Oh my goodness! Here we go again. The stress thing. Obviously, I've made it through these 3 weeks, but I have a little secret. I've been taking a product from the feed called Pillar, and it's really been helping my sleep game.
And you think it works?
It absolutely works.
Wait, so is it that I saw you drinking that pineapple coconut stuff that had magnesium in it, and usually magnesium doesn't taste that great.
The flavor's great, and best part is only $1 a night.
Well, I know you love that. Folks, if y'all don't know George that well, the man pinches pennies, all right? So, but for $1 a night to get some sleep, that's pretty good. So if you want to sleep stress-free, just like George over here, head on over to thefeed.com/TheMove, and you get 20% off Pillar. Use the code THEMOVE. The code should be something like stress-free or George's.
I like it.
Yeah. And as we said at the top of the show, HVMN is our presenting sponsor this summer. By the way, also the presenting sponsor for the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift. So Ketone IQ, they made the world's first drinkable ketone in 2017. Ketone IQ is their latest innovation on ketones with improved effectiveness, taste, and cost. I feel like I need some ketones today. Ketone IQ delivers clean fuel that can cross the blood-brain barrier, supplying your brain and body sustained energy, mental focus, and sharpness, putting you in flow, lasting for hours. You can save 30% off your first subscription order of Ketone IQ at hvmn.com/TheMove. Again, that's hvmn.com/TheMove. These HVMN guys, they're trying to get me to go down to this. Yeah, I mean, I know you do all kinds of fancy stuff, but these guys, the HVMN, are asking me to go down to that Jake Paul fight. He's been.
Ooh, when is that? Oh, the one in
August 5th.
Okay.
He hammers the Ketone IQ. I love boxing.
HVMN, send me some love. I want to go to that fight.
I asked if I could get I knew you wouldn't want to go to the fight, so I said, do you think you have an extra seat for George? I said, no.
Can we go back to the article about Plug blasting the French riders? I guarantee you 95% of the peloton is having a couple of beers tonight because it's the last stage of the tour. Tomorrow's 115K, albeit fast, stressful final, but it's a fun ride, and I would be shocked if most of the peloton isn't having a couple of beers and some burgers.
I think tonight's fine. I think his point was that it was on a rest day, and you had, of course, the time trial right after the rest day. You had that mountain day. I mean, it was a tough days after the rest day. But it's just funny that this is an article, and funny that they had a back and forth. I mean, Matteo actually takes the bait.
So what did Matteo say?
Well, he says the riders weren't even at our dinner table. Other members of the team have had a beer, but the riders were on Perrier water. I mean, this is the thing. Like, who gives a shit? Really?
That's crazy.
I mean, I think it really kind of all stemmed from just Jumbo and Vingegaard and Richard Plug having some questions about the performance. And he then goes into how the team's very transparent. But the beer thing was a hook for him.
Question about tomorrow. How rare is a breakaway? I'll save it.
Save that because that's actually a really good question. Because we can also talk. I do think they let Thibaut Pinot go up the road, as they should. Last one of the day. Today's show brought to you by Roka, who have completely reinvented a new class of eyewear. I had a little fun though, and this is just a message for Rob and everybody at Roka, because this Barbie craze is this movie. There's a Barbie movie out, and our friends. Mike Ramos's wife Ashley rented the entire theater and took all of these women to see Barbie, and they got swag. Look at this. Every woman left with these glasses.
You look like you're trying to be Bono, actually.
I like it.
It's like that one concert. Bono was like this. Every time I clap my hands, a child in Africa dies.
Oh, God.
And then a guy like 2 rows back goes, well, stop clapping your fucking hands. That's a true story.
That's funny.
I think. It was an old Robin Williams joke. May he rest in peace. But seriously, back to Roka. They are just kicking ass. On the performance side, the casual side, the blue titanium aviators, and on the prescription side, the lenses are truly the best in class. They're crystal clear, fog resistant, and scratch resistant. And when you're like me and you're out there sweating, they won't slip off your face. I wear them everywhere. I wear them obviously to read, but I also on the bike and then on the golf course. I always have the aviators on the golf course. And so top of the line, not just amazing cyclists rocking them, as we'll see a lot of the women's teams wear Roka, but also folks in the special forces and other champion athletes, and hand-built in our hometown of Austin, Texas. The Move listeners get 20% off. Just go to Roka, ROKA.com. Again, that's Roka, ROKA.com. Enter the code THEMOVE to get you 20% off. The Barbie thing, I don't know. I mean... They said it was pretty good, too. How's that a movie?
Yeah, I don't know. But it's definitely a big craze all over the U.S.
Yeah. I read somebody tweeted out the other day, they said whoever is in charge of marketing this movie is like the most genius I agree. Like they did a fantastic job promoting a movie about a little plastic doll. Oh, cool. All right, good chat.
No comment.
Good chat, guys.
Now let's talk about tomorrow. And I'll admit I'm stealing a little bit from outcomes because no one wants to go to the line with Jasper Philipsen. So how do you prevent that? A breakaway. But that's rare on the last day.
Super rare. Not only is just it's one of the easiest stages to control in terms of a sprint finish. So guys like Alpecin Phoenix is going to have a really good team to control it, and they'll get help from Jaco Alula and a couple other teams. So breakaway is very, very rare.
It's a very fun day. Like it's everybody knows it's chill. It starts very chill. You got to get sort of the.
Did you have fun on your last stages when you were winning?
I had fun because I knew it was almost over. I just wanted to go home. Like I was like, fuck, just get this over with so I can get out of here. But you go through the obligatory photos. Jumbo-Visma will take a whole team shot as they're going. Then, Vingegaard will take a shot with a plastic cup of champagne, and there'll be other things like they'll probably take some pictures of the podium all together, and then they'll roll into town, and it just starts to pick up just from not guys attacking, but just the anticipation and the excitement. And I will say, it's when you finally get to Paris and you start, of course, on the outskirts and you're getting into the suburbs, and then as soon as you get into town, even before you hit the Champs-Élysées, it's awesome. And you're passing some of the most historical and epic places in the world. And then you finally hit the Champs-Élysées, of course, the cobbles there. It's a rush. Like, it's a cool feeling. And then they've, and we've talked about this before, but the new turnaround, in the old days, you had that hot dog turn right before the Arc de Triomphe,
which was hard,
more like a hairpin,
which made it very, very hard. And now they go all the way around the Arc. I think it's a beautiful image, but it is a cool stage. And no, I don't. To your question earlier, JB, no, there will be breakaways, and not that they haven't made it on the Champs-Élysées, but I don't think too many sprinters teams with interest.
Yeah, and it's usually pretty standard the way it sets up. The leading team gets to roll into the Champs in front, and usually they'll let a guy like Pinot, who's retiring, get away right before he gets
like a parade lap.
Yeah, like a parade lap. He hopefully will be able to pass the finish line in front, a couple seconds ahead of the Jumbo team, and then it's game on. Then it's anybody and everybody can attack, which they will. A lot of guys that a lot of the teams that haven't won stages are going to try to go on the breakaway to get their teams fired up and excited, get some attention. So there's going to definitely be a lot of attacks and a lot of aggression, but it'll be a sprint.
And there's only one thing that can really ruin the fun on the final day, and that's rain.
Yeah, and
60% chance of rain tomorrow.
Ooh.
Which just for the ambiance, it sucks. It certainly sucks for the fans and all the sponsors and everybody there. But rain on those cobbles, hopefully it dries up. I mean, the other thing is they finish really late now, so the stage finish isn't until 7:30 p.m. Central European time. So it's later in the day. Maybe it'll dry up.
Johan brought a good point up too. Peter Sagan's retiring as well. So would they let them both go? That'd be kind of interesting. Do they like each other? Are they willing to ride, across the finish line together?
Oh,
we'll have to wait and see.
That's the first time we've mentioned his name, I think,
I know,
in 3 weeks,
which is kind of crazy.
That is, for one of the greatest of all time, and certainly one of the biggest personalities of all time, to make it 3 weeks and just now mention his name.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy to think about.
George did say something funny while we were watching today. I don't know if you caught it, but he's like, when Pinot was up the road and all the Pinot fans were on, you were like, I'm surprised they don't just block the road after he goes by.
I know. I mean, because they're watching, and that whole region wanted Pinot to win. There was signs everywhere for him.
Yeah. Well, that would have made news.
We do have a new Joe Natoli. I think you're going to like it, Lance. It's
Oh no!
Oh my goodness!
No, Joe. Clearly, the man is back from vacation. This is holy shit. Wow, we do. And if y'all are just listening, I mean, this one you just kind of almost have to go to YouTube to see it. Very nice. I'm wearing the Borat bikini. That is. That's you can't unsee this, folks. That is Jesus.
Cannot.
And remind me, did I say something about Borat this whole time? Did I say something, or how did this? What prompted this?
Because we're about your dream of riding for.
Yeah, it was one of my dreams to ride for.
Actually, I won't tell the story about our HR Kazakhstan, but
to make it
save it for
and to
for
make
later.
it even worse, I raced for free for that fucking team. Right, so this is what I get. I mean, I rode for free. Of course, I was making a bunch of other money on the side, but I rode for free. And this fucking now Joe Natoli sending over these things again. No, yeah, go ahead, Colton, put it back up.
Clearly lost your manscaping equipment.
So I actually, you know what? I want to ask you a question about that. So
I'm not sure. Go back.
You were making all this money, partying with McConaughey, doing all kinds of. And then all of a sudden you go, you know what? I'm bored. I want to go back to racing.
I know. That's such a stupid idea. But hey,
were you bored? Or you were motivated?
Like I said
what
at the top of the show, you fuck up. And you pick up the pieces and you keep moving forward. I
like it. That's a good lesson for all of us.
That's a whole other episode.
Yeah.
But there's
Because I actually remember you calling me, and
I know.
you're like,
You're like, no. You can't. You cannot. You should not do that. Actually, you did say that. I will.
You never listen to me.
Hey, no Eventum trivia question today. We're drawing the name tomorrow, but just for fun, the answer, and no one I asked has been even close to how many days Eddie Merckx spent in a yellow jersey.
Nobody's been close?
Everyone guesses about half of the
Do
actual
these
answer.
people not have the internet?
Just people I've asked in person without.
Hey, speaking of Ventum, maiden voyage on that new orange, custom painted orange NS1 today.
Nice.
FYI. And I was out, and I actually got new bike shoes too. And I was out dicking with my position, and so and I picked a really hard route. And George, the way this sumbitch was last night, I tell you, tuned up.
We're gonna have Liz there document.
Richard Plug would not approve of the way that you acted last night. And then we got on this whole thing about, and we hear it all the time from people like, "Oh, why don't you guys do the show from France?" And JB's just like, "No, we're not." It's not even. And it kept going and it kept going. And George is in the background, all tuned. He's like, "Let's go,
France."
I was like,
"Yeah, I regret that. I think we should do it in Aspen. Keep it.
No regrets.
The same.
Forward. Move forward.
That's
No
right,
regrets.
yeah,
The answer to Days in Yellow, 96.
yeah, it's a lot. It's
How many were you in yellow?
If you depends who you ask.
Well, I'm asking you.
but I know. Listen, the majority know the answer, but I actually don't know the answer. That'd be a fun trivia question.
Johan,
but
how many days in yellow was he?
if you ask Wikipedia, 0. But if you ask people that actually have a memory, which
think
ones,
like 40, 50?
Johan.
He's looking it up right now.
Yeah,
we'll get back.
It's a lot.
And we got to get our friend on.
I would have been in it more if you guys weren't such wimps and politicians and nice guys. Fuck these guys. Let's go out. Let's get the jersey. Keep the jersey.
No, that's nothing about nice. That was being strategic and letting others do the work for us when we needed.
One last bit of information before we get to our special guest, Chris Froome, is there's still one slot available for the Mallorca trip. If you are interested in going on
Trip
that.
of a lifetime.
Mallorca, yeah, one spot left, and then we're doing, hold up a second, we're doing Strada Bianche at the end of February, early March, a move camp there, riding the beautiful gravel roads of Tuscany, which is amazing. We did it this April. It was incredible. Doesn't get much better than that.
I'm not sure I can go back to that trip. I have a little PTSD from a certain memory there.
And then we got Flanders as well, starting March 28th for a nice 4-day camp. And then we have Paris-Roubaix camp. So you can come and ride with me on the cobbles and have some fun out there in Belgium.
Yeah.
travel@wedo.team if you want any information on any of those. Okay? So let's take a quick little break. Well, this is a break for us, not for the listener here, but let's go ahead and get Chris Froome dialed in.
How are you, Chris? Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Good, thanks. How are you guys doing?
Great. We're excited to have you on. What are your impressions of this Tour de France? Harder than most, or the same as usual?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, it does look like it's been a harder tour than most, I'd say. It's also interesting just seeing some of the data numbers, I guess, that are flying around.
Right.
More on social media than anything else. Of the leaders, Vingegaard and Pogačar up in the mountains.
Yeah, talk to us about that. I mean, what at your peak, your best numbers, how far off or how similar are those to the numbers of Pogačar and Vingegaard?
I mean, it's really hard to say because, I mean, the other day I saw numbers of, I think it was 7.5 watts a kilo for like 14 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Which is just, I mean, I think for a 5-minute power, that was good for me. Wow. To see that being done for 14 minutes. But one thing I will say is I think, because I can remember winning stages in the past and then seeing people who have calculated my power online or whatever, and it was quite far off. It was like a long way off. It was almost 100 watts off at some point.
Whoa.
So seeing, I don't know. I mean, there are lots of people out there calculating stuff. I just don't know how accurate all those guys are.
So, Chris, you were one of the first riders, and correct me if I'm wrong. Would you stare at your watt meter and let like guys like Contador get a little gap knowing that you can reel them in if you stay at these certain numbers?
Who's that? Never mind. Sorry, Chris.
Yeah, no, I think that was quite a big misconception, more just because of my position on the bike, to be honest. I've got a very arched upper back, and so I'm kind of naturally, my gaze when I'm relaxed is kind of looking just towards the front of my bike, my stem, my power meter. And I think everyone sort of thought, he's just riding off watts. He's really calculated here. He's riding at a certain speed or whatever. But that's rubbish. I mean, you've got to. I mean, you guys know what it's like. You got to when the race is on, you got to follow the race. You can't be riding to numbers too much.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of position, Chris, this is a fun question for you. Of course, the UCI banned the Super Tuck a couple of years ago, and of course, you were the one who invented it. Did you have any kind of memorial service or anything after that? You know, we had a lot of fun with that position on the show because it was you could pull it off, but we always tell the listeners like, hey, do not try this at home. And of course, people would, and it would end badly. But it had to be a dark day for you when they said can't do it anymore. Yeah, I mean, I was disappointed about that. I won't lie. I did enjoy it, but I just found it a bit ironic because you're not allowed to do the Super Tuck, and I've seen much more dangerous positions now that are actually legal. Guys like really hunched over the bike in a position where you actually can't control the handlebars anymore. But in the Super Tuck, you were actually behind the handlebars. You had a fair amount of control. I mean, to see them banning that and then still allowing guys to piss off the bike, for example, at 50 k's an hour, surely it's just a bit of a strange one, if you ask me. We have this guy, a loyal listener of ours named Joe Natoli. He makes up all these funny like cartoons, like puts together these funny things. We had one today actually, but that'd be a good one for Joe Natoli. You know, a picture of you, some sort of campaign like bring back the Super Tuck. Like we could get a little momentum going there, I think. Yeah, you made some really big moves on that Super Tuck. Was it the descent of the Juplan where you got away that one year? I think so. It was a descent of the Périgord down into Bagne de Luchon. That I managed to get a small gap on the guys and hold it away and go into yellow. So have you been watching the tour every day, or kind of just? Most days. I've been getting out training. Normally try and get back for the last hour at least, and just have it on in the background in the house. So it's been cool watching it. Obviously, I was pretty disappointed not to be there myself. That was a pretty big hit for me. I mean, I've been getting ready for it. I felt as if I was good to go. I was definitely on an upwards trajectory in terms of coming into the race in a place that I could build into the race and get stronger, hopefully, as the race went on. But yeah, I mean, that's professional sport. You guys know what it's like. That's right. The team decided to go a different direction in terms of the riders they chose, and I think they chose quite a few guys. Excuse me. Sorry. Special guest back there. We have one of the kids. One of my kids. Bursting in on me. I mean, I think in looking at the team, I think they chose a few of the guys in the team were maybe really showing good form through May, June. And I think that definitely took a few of the tour spots, but I think some of those guys have really struggled to hang on to that form come into July. But that's c'est la vie. That's how it goes. That's right. Yeah. And Chris, you don't have to answer this, but of course everybody will want to know. How much longer do you want to do this? I mean, even though I think a lot of people can't understand. Oh, you've won the Tour a bunch of times, the Vuelta, the Giro. Like, what? Surely, like, what are you still doing? Kind of thing. And my only answer is I genuinely enjoy bike racing, and if that's, I mean, okay, of course I enjoyed it more when I was up front winning. You definitely get more pleasure and satisfaction out of it, but the whole lifestyle, the sacrifice, the training, the being part of a team, you're a bunch of guys on the road. It almost takes me back to, I guess, being in a boarding house at school, or my school days, where you kind of just feel as if you're a bunch of guys all trying to achieve the same goal. I genuinely enjoy it, and I think while I've still got that pleasure and that passion, I'm going to keep doing it. So I'd say at least I'm still contracted for another 2 years. So definitely plan on seeing that out.
So, Chris, last question. You started winning the Tour. You've won 4 Tour de France's. You were part of the Sky Train, the first team to really take everything to the next level in terms of nutrition, training, coaching,
equipment.
Now, like fast forward to where we are now, you have teams like Jumbo and UAE. How has it changed for you as a rider who's won the Tour de France? Has your training changed? Has the way you log your training and the way you eat? What are the differences you've seen in that? Fueling, that's a big one.
Fueling's definitely changed. I mean, it was always something that, I mean, we'd try and like gauge fueling and everything else, of course, even when I was winning. But now it's sort of getting to the nth degree where you really literally are just measuring everything. You're trying to get on the big days over 100 grams of carbs an hour, which is just massive. And I mean, you've almost got to start doing days of training where you do that in training before the race as well.
You have to train your stomach to absorb that, right?
Exactly. So that wasn't really a thing, I guess, when the whole Sky Train was going, was training your stomach in training. I think we were actually doing the opposite. We were starving ourselves in training. So I mean, there are definitely quite a few changes in the sport at the moment, and it seems to be getting more explosive. Numbers seem to be higher, but for certain periods of time, I wouldn't say it's necessarily harder all day, but it's becoming a lot more specific than previously.
I mean, speaking of things for folks to not try at home, it would be 100 grams of carbohydrates per hour. If you've never even thought about it, it may not sound like much, but that's crazy. I mean, if you folks go out just on a 3 or 4 hour ride, try it, and your stomach, there really is some adaptation there to get used to that.
No, definitely. I mean, when you start doing that, normally the first few times you do it, you probably get to hour 3, hour 4, and your stomach just feels like it's doing knickknacks. It's like completely cramping up, and you just almost struggle to get anything down. You feel acidity. You start regurgitating some of your food. It is horrible.
Ooh. Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, Chris, thank you so much for hopping on with us, and thank you so much to Gareth for hooking this up. Our mutual friend.
We appreciate it, Chris. Thank you so much, and good luck the rest of the year. What do you got the rest of the year?
Unfortunately, we're not doing the Vuelta, so I don't have another Grand Tour to focus in on. But I've got some smaller races. But to be honest, I'm more focused now on trying to think about next year already and what kind of small changes I can make. I've figured out a few things that I kind of need to go back to the basics, sort out my position on the bike has been a bit of an issue in the last few months. So I'm going to go back and see another position specialist, and been getting a lot of sort of back pain and stuff like that. But basically, just trying to replicate, get closer to how I was back in the Sky days when things were working for me.
Good,
great.
Good.
Okay, well, we wish you the best of luck, Chris, and hopefully we get to go for a bike ride soon.
I look forward to that.
You better start training, because this man trains a lot. Just keep training. Right. And you better fix the position, because I'm telling you, this man, he trains more now than he did when he was paid to train.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Chris, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep. See you, buddy.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right.
That was awesome.
And okay, that was awesome. What a class guy. You know, that's the most. I don't think I've ever even talked to Chris Froome.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Those comeback years that you were criticizing me for, we did cross over a little bit. We didn't chat. Yep. That was the most I've ever interacted with.
Yeah,
what a sweet
really
guy. Class guy. Good for him. Good luck. All right, thanks for tuning in, everybody. One more day. Of course, tomorrow, double day tomorrow for some of us.
And we're giving away an NS1.
And I'm picking the winner out of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, thanks for tuning in, y'all.